everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to be back working on the front axle in our Ram 3500. And I guess we're going to get stuff cleaned up and maybe start putting some stuff back together. Let's get to work. What I'm doing here is getting this kind of stub end of the front axle and the little bits of the chassis that I can access with this thing still in here, just kind of cleaned up and ready. We're going to put some fresh paint on it. And once we've got that done kind of on this part, then we'll install our lower control arm and remove the upper one and do the same thing up there. It'll take us kind of 2 steps to get this all done. We're using different scrapers and all kinds of different wire brushes in our little cordless drill here. I don't want to get too carried away. I mean, yes, I would love nothing more than to lift the whole body right off of this thing and clean the chassis from one end to the other, but that's not going to happen. I just want to get this cleaned up so it looks nice. Well, you can see here we're moving right along. We've got this frame rail all cleaned up now and the paint touched up. Once it's dry, we'll put the upper control arm back in. And on the other side, you'll see, same thing here. We've got the lower arm out. We got everything tidied up. We'll put that back together when the paint's dry. I also got the knuckles and caliper adapters cleaned up. Put a coat of paint on one side of them, and then again, when it's dry, we'll flip it over and paint the other side. That looks a lot better. We've got our new control arms installed. On both sides, the cams are right back where they originally were. So that should have us pretty close on the alignment. I've got those parts flipped over and a coat of paint put on the other side. And then once the paint's dried, we have to clean off all the mating surfaces on them. Likewise with this, we have to clean out these bores, and we're going to get the ball joints put back in. That'll be the first step here, and then we could slowly start assembling all this stuff back until we actually have it back on its wheels. Good old Chrysler, eh? I ordered the front backing plates or dust shields, whatever you want to call them. And look, one comes black E-coated and the other one comes, I don't know what this is, zinc coated or galvanized or something. That's outstanding. We'll get them out of the bags and I'll find something and paint them so they're both the same. Now they match. LOL. I've snugged up all the control arm bolts to the point where they won't move. They are not final torqued. They will not be final torqued until we have checked the alignment, because we don't want to put any stress at all on the bushings. If I do have to move something, we'll have to just kind of back off the bolts a tiny bit so the bushings can be free, but that's for the alignment phase, not for now. What I'm doing now, I'm getting ready to put the ball joints in. So we've got just like a kind of a bristly thing here on our cordless drill. And we're going to clean out these bores. You do not want to remove any material from here. It's imperative that the ball joints maintain their press fit. So all we want to do is clean them. You can see there, you can see the marks from the knurl on the old ball joint. So we'll get that clean. And then I'll put a flat brush in, and we'll clean out this counter bore here where the snap ring goes. Now we can put our ball joints in. We're going to put the lower in first. And you can see this one has a grease fitting. And we remember from when we took it apart, the grease fitting points toward the back. So we'll get it oriented in like that. And we'll get the press set up and pull it in. I'm going to put a little grease around it and a little grease in the bore here that'll help it go in. One problem we have with this is that these ball joints are not really on the same axis. When we've got this one set up, you'll see the screw for the tool hits the eye there. So we have to be really careful pulling this in. We don't want to damage anything or bend anything. You just go nice and easy and let the tool do the work. What we really need is a second bolt that's only that long that we can turn from under here, but we don't have that. Although I will show you something that I cobbled up. I made this out of an old bolt that just gets in there, and that pulls the joint in straight rather than having our screw fighting against this eye. But you do have to get it started about that far in first before you can have enough room to get this thing in here. So anyway, it's in now, and we can go ahead and put the snap ring on. Oh, we've got our big snap ring plier here, and we just spread her open. It's not easy to do with only one hand. Hang on, I'm going to have to put it on and then come back. I can't find my tripod. Once we got our snap ring in, we just go around and give it a tap and make sure it's seated all the way in that groove. And then we turn it so that the joint is here, outboard. So to make it easier if we ever have to take it out again, which I hope we never do. Now we can install the grease fitting. Now we can put in the upper ball joint. Same thing, I just put a little grease around it. I want to turn it so that, there we go, get the cotter pin pointing the way I want it pointing. And once that's started in, put our thing on top of there, and this one will go in pretty easily. We just tap it in with a piece of brass on our tool here. You could turn it in with the tool too, but this way works also. And there we go. Ball joints are in. That one's not quite down, is it? She needs another wrap or two. Now we can put our knuckles back on once we check them. Now we can go ahead and put the knuckles on. I've cleaned up all the mating surfaces where the hub goes on, where the hub goes in. I've cleaned out the stem holes. And I did check them. You'll recall on that side over there when we tried to undo the nut on the stem, it was turning, but there was nowhere. I checked the hole with one of the new ball joints before I put it in, and the hole is fine. I think that thing spinning was more a function of the nut being seized on the stem, and when I started reefing on it with the big bar, it started turning. But it wasn't turning or loose while the vehicle was on the road, is what I'm trying to say. So what we can do now is get this thing on. First thing I'm going to do is put some anti-seize on the threads here. It'll help lubricate us as we torque it and make it easier if we ever have to take this thing apart again. There we go. Now I've lifted it into position. We'll just kind of get the nuts started on finger tight, and then we'll follow the factory manual to torque them. So I start just by running up the bottom nut, just to take up the slack. And once that's run up, we'll run up the top nut, get the slack taken up, and then we can follow the factory procedure to torque them. So the proper procedure is to torque the lower one to 35 foot-pounds, then torque the upper one to 70 foot-pounds, and then advance it until you can get the cotter pin through. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do that twice on this one. I'm going to pull it to 70 once just to get the stem pulled down into the knuckle, and then I'm going to take it back off and put our ABS bracket on, and then I'll torque it again. I just don't want the nut grinding into this when we're pulling the stem together. It could distort it, make a mess of it. The original nut was a flange nut, and this nut is not. I know I said I was going to make a new pair of these, but once I got them and got them cleaned up, they're fine. They're okay. We'll just put them right back on. I torqued the nut, then took it back off, put our bracket back on, and torqued it again. And now you can see, where is it? Our cotter pin hole is just about there. We just have to tighten it a tiny bit more to get it so we can pull the cotter pin through. There we go. Perfect. Now we can install our cotter pin. In it goes. There. We'll just trim off the ends, and that's the upper one done. Same thing on the lower, except we torque it to 160. Right there. And then advance it until we reach the cotter key. Let's see if we see it. The one on the other side lined up perfectly the first time I tightened it. But I don't see it here. So we'll just give it a little extra oomph with this big bar here and see if it lines up now. Where is it? I just saw the darn thing. Oh, I think we're good. Let's see. And there you can see. Ta-da! Goes right in. Perfect. Snip off the end. Sorry for my shoddy camera work. Deb can't be out here right now. But anyway, that's that done. Jolly good. We can see there. It turns nice. Perfect. That's looking pretty good in there now. Hey, it's looking like something. Let me get some light here. There we go. We've got our new parts. And I'm doing as many upgrades as I can while I do this. Like upgrading, just factory upgrades. You know, stuff that they switch to on later models. Like these, the tube, lower control arms, and stuff like that. Why not? I'm buying the parts anyway. Might as well buy the newer ones. Anyway, in the next video, we're going to put new joints in our axle shafts and get those in our hubs and everything all in. And maybe we'll start doing some work on the brakes. That'll do it for this one. We all learned something. My back still hurts from pulling them old ball joints out. The new ones went in a lot easier, thankfully. I want to thank you for taking the time to check out our channel. Hope you'll come back and see us again. If you haven't already, please, down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Leave a comment. Share this around. It all helps the channel grow. And until we meet again, this is Kevin checking out from the Claremont Classic Garage. So long for now.